Hey there, welcome back to Tennille Talks. Y'all, I just want to thank you for helping me get through last night. The emails, the comments, the way that you poured into me, I really appreciate you. I'd say about a month ago, I found out something that I thought was not a coincidence. But in 2018, I lived in the same house with the same people. Now, in 2018, I explained 2017, 2018, I threw away my tarot cards. Prior to me getting to that space where I kind of walked away from my spiritual life, I was in the process. I created these journals. I created a gratitude journal, 2018, a synchronicity journal, and a dream journal. Now, I created them for myself, but I also bought sets for the other 3 kids in the house, and I was going to teach them numerology. Like, I was excited. They were essentially my first clients, my first students, okay? And so they brought these to me probably a couple weeks or a month ago, and when I looked at my gratitude journal, the first thing on the first page, I have 3 statements. It says, I'm grateful for my cousins. I'm grateful for my grandmother. I'm grateful for my family. And I wrote this February 4th, right? So exactly 7 years ago from this month, I was in the same house, in the same situation, but I wasn't able to pursue my spiritual path. And I absolutely feel that something supernaturally wicked absolutely derailed me. And so for me to be in this house doing this in this way and going through the revelations that I'm going through, similar to the one that I shared with you last night, I know that that's not a coincidence. I know it's not. So that means something for sure. Now, a part of this reading, I have my handmade deck, and this is the one that has biblical characters. And so the biblical character that comes out in this reading is Mordecai. Now, Mordecai is Queen Esther's cousin, okay? Now, Queen Esther was a Jew, but that was a secret that was not to be known. So you have Mordecai, who is essentially serving on the king's court, and then you have Queen Esther, who is married to the king. So, next, there is Haman. Haman is a high-ranking official. So when he's appointed to office, he has an issue with Mordecai, but he also knows Mordecai's secret. He knows that Mordecai is a Jew. And so in order to trip Mordecai up, in order essentially to get Mordecai out of his way, he creates a law where essentially you have to bow to him. Well, Mordecai refused to bow to him, and obviously the ego and the pride of Haman was scorned, and so he got the king to create a clause that essentially say all Jews are supposed to be slaughtered. Now, he wanted to kill Mordecai, but he's like, why stop at one Jew when I can just kill them all? So that is the story of Mordecai. Now, the way that Queen Esther saves essentially all the Jews is she approaches the king, her husband. But the thing about approaching the king without being summoned is that itself can cause death, right? And so she approaches her husband. The Jews are spared. Haman ends up getting, I think he was hanged. He was killed. Nonetheless, he was killed instead of Mordecai and the Jews, right? So that is going to be significant somehow in the story. But what I'm really understanding is that this is about secrets. The first card I pulled is an African proverb. And it says, confiding a secret to an unworthy person is like carrying grain in a bag with a hole. Now, the unworthy person that had a secret is coming out as the Queen of Swords. Now, the type of secret that this Queen of Swords had, it was about somebody who was coming up as a rising star, somebody who was supposed to have a public face. They're also described as an introvert. And so I want you to imagine that you are essentially in this family. There is a secret about you that you don't necessarily know about yourself. The secret is attached to your heart space. The secret is about the power of your emotions. Now, this is material versus inner abundance. And so you essentially have a wealth inside of you. You are a walking bank when we're talking about your emotional body and your emotional well-being. And so the miracle that is you, it is your heart space. Now, it is because of the power of your emotions and your inner abundance that you are the type of person that is supposed to have a public face. Meaning, as long as you follow your heart, your reputation, whatever you build, whatever you create, it cannot not only lead your life, but it can lead the lives of others. It can create miracles in the lives of others. Now, this Queen of Swords, who is coming out as an unworthy person, is giving me the energy of Haman, right? Haman knew that Mordecai was a Jew. He felt some kind of way because it was almost like, well, play your position. I'm this high-ranking official. Treat me appropriately, right? But Mordecai's like, dude, like, we don't get down like that. Like, I'm not bowing to you. Like, no, right? And so there was almost this plot that Haman cowardly schemed in order to get Mordecai and the other Jews to be slaughtered. Now, it didn't work, right? It didn't work, but that is the energy of somebody knowing something about you. And the person that knew this about you is unworthy. And they're unworthy because, you know, some people, they don't have the maturity to everybody can't hold a secret. What do they say? Some people can't hold water or something like that. But so there was somebody as a Queen of Swords. Now, I think this is really cool in this reading because this is a reading about the heart space and about the power of your heart. But there's this Queen of Swords. Now, the Queen of Swords notoriously does not lead with their emotion, right? This is somebody who essentially has put their heart away a long time ago. And so the way they approach life, relationships, or anything is going to be very rational, very logical, and intellectual. So if there is somebody who essentially has an icebox for a heart, and they know that your heart is packaged differently, almost like a miracle. And so this is about a family secret where all of your money is inside of you. Meaning, if you are allowed to blossom, if you are allowed to bloom, if your heart is at peace, if you are calm, if you are secure, if you are tranquil, and your heart can grow, then literally anything you choose is gold. Anything you choose, as long as you're at joy, as long as you're having fun, as long as you lead with love, right? And so imagine having that type of heart, but being seated in a family that only considers abundance to be a material thing. And so these are people that wouldn't be able to value or mimic or match your emotional body. And so there's a family that essentially traps their rising star. Your rising star only if your heart is healthy and happy and able to be free. A family creates a trap in order to keep this star stuck in karmic ties. Now, karmic relationships are going to be those cycles, those loops, those triggers. It's like you're dating different people, but every single relationship takes you to the same destination, right? And not necessarily because you don't understand the value of love and compassion and relationships and giving, but it's you were trapped. Like you can't break out of them. And so this is a supernatural trap, right? So your family knows that you have been trapped in karmic relationships. They trap you in karmic relationships. This is a part of a long-term plan. And so whoever you are at birth, whoever you were as a child, it was very clear that you were packaged differently. It's literally because of your heart space. Okay, now there's an entire scheme where people have decided, we can create all of that water, all of that emotion into them. We can use that for money. And the only way it becomes money is if you're not happy, is if you are depressed, if people are mistreating you in relationships, right? As long as you're sad, as long as you're grieving, as long as you're crying, as long as you're trapped in these karmic cycles, well, then people are essentially able to build wealth off of you, off of your pain, off of your emotional misfortune. So the Queen of Swords knows that your family has trapped you in this way, but this is also coming out as somebody who is unworthy. Now, what does the Queen of Swords do? Now, I don't know if this was an approval. I don't know if this was, if the family knew this, because it says that, listen, you need to be flexible in how you approach them, right? Meaning like you don't want to go in cold and harsh, like kind of act like you're their friend, get as much information as you can, which is why when you confide a secret to an unworthy person, like you already know they will take it and run with it. And so think about those kind of people. Think about those people who don't respect boundaries in any way, right? But especially like they can't keep their mouth off of people, right? Now, right now, this Queen of Swords, who at some point was desiring something, and what she was desiring was essentially to carry the material wealth that would have been retrieved off of your emotional pain. Now, the Queen of Swords goes an extra level. So yes, they understand that you were supposed to have this public space, public face. The Queen of Swords does death magic on you, right? Now, you are just supposed to be trapped in karmic relationships. Ain't nobody supposed to be throwing death magic on you, right? But because of the stubbornness, because of the arrogance, it's almost like this person turns it up a notch. And they turn it up a notch because they want wealth. They want they're desiring things, right? But then the Queen of Swords gets bad news that, listen, the jig is up. We're done, right? And so if this is somebody that was almost using your emotional pain as a side hustle for a period of time, this person is experiencing some type of death, some type of loss. Now, is it because of the death magic that was done? I don't see that the death magic is coming out with the family. The death magic is only coming out as something that the Queen of Swords did because she's being described as an unworthy person, meaning everybody can't hold top secret knowledge. Everybody can't handle it, right? Emotional immaturity. And so this is somebody who's like, I don't want $10,000. I want $100,000. I'll throw a death spell, right? This is somebody that double down. They double down on whatever your inner mechanism is, simply out of selfishness and greed. But if this is a person that is coming out with death, I mean, possibly death and endings can be happening in their life, but whatever the plot was, whatever the plan was that was supposed to specifically bring this person some kind of wealth, it's not going well right now. And so I don't know if the Queen of Swords was responsible for doing death magic on your public face, but the outcome of that is describing this character is unworthy, right? So I also think that the outcome of the death magic, a miracle happens. So let's say somebody does it, but it doesn't work. Now what, right? And so the trap that this family has been living off of for a period of time, I don't know why I'm getting itchy. The trap that this family has been living off of for a period of time, and this was the trap, right? They were supposed to trap you in karmic ties, right? As long as you are in the karmic tie, these people are using you for luck, reward, wealth, and gain. That is the truth that is attached to you. That is the secret that everybody can't handle. That is also probably the secret that you didn't know about yourself. But there's also this conversation where, like, be flexible. Like, we have this secret, but you still have to be loving. You have to act like you're their friend. You have to act like you want to get close to them. You have to act, right? So it's like you kind of got to play the part so that they don't associate or connect you to this. So here's the thing. Now we have this priest. Now, initially I'm like, okay, so it must have been the priest that told the Queen of Swords that this is, you know, that this is about you. So I kind of got the background feeling of people getting personal readings on you, possibly you using your information in order to find out things about you. And so I don't know if directly the priest explains this to the Queen of Swords, but there was a secret that this person knew, and then they just went ham. Now, there's this priest who had been gaining, right? This is the side hustle. Your life, you possibly have been a side hustle for a lot of people, which is why the cycles, the loops, the triggers, those type of karmic relationships are so important, because they keep you drained, they keep you depleted, you're unhappy. And as long as you are leaking out your emotion, you don't have enough in order to pursue the things that really fill your heart space and give you satisfaction. And so there is a priest who's coming out as an authority figure. This is somebody who's confident. This is somebody who takes on the role of a leader. Now, this person was gaining off of the family trap. You are the one in the family trap based on your emotional body and your emotional intelligence. As long as you are trapped, you are a prophet. As long as you are trapped, you bear fruit. And so now I'm getting that the priest almost knew some classified information about how you were packaged spiritually. They tell it to somebody who's extremely immature, and this person decides, this is giving me the energy of wannabe or pick me. You know, sometimes people just wish that the secret was their secret. And so they're willing to do anything in order to kind of get that value, to get that notoriety, even if you don't even know that about yourself. These are like those energies of people who are like quietly or silently competing with you. And you have no idea that this is happening. So The priest is coming up as somebody who is maybe right now, maybe they're praying, so here it is. As long as you were trapped, there was some type of legal situation. This means like there was a legal situation that they were planning and preparing for. The money that they make off of your pain is going to help them with these legal fees. So we have legal matters. This could be divorce, property, criminal paternity, child support, traffic tickets, anything dealing with the law where we must pay money. Somebody was essentially wanting to use the value of you in order to afford their legal issues. And they understood that the time was approaching, maybe for a court case, maybe for a court date, right? And so the plan is to use you as the collateral, right? This is spiritual. This is essentially using your spiritual wealth in order to physically manifest it so that these people can have gain, satisfaction, some type of win or victory. We literally have man, victory, confidence, insight, stand strong and act quickly. And so that is the energy of the priest. They're thinking that as long as we open up your heart space, but when we open it, we don't fill it with what you need. We fill it with karmic connections. This is what they would fill it with. So when I'm talking about those relationships where you're constantly in the cycle, it's like they have a different face, but the energy is the same. You always end up to the same destination when you date these kind of people. These are the relationships where people were off and on. They were hot and cold. They were detached. They were always ghosting you. And as long as you were in those relationships, people were comfortable and daydreaming, and they were under the illusion that, like, listen, as long as you're dating a nobody, then they essentially get to be a somebody because they're living off of your emotional wealth. But there is something specific about the law. It could be a court date, it could be a court something where you being in a karmic tie meant that they would have access to be able to get through whatever this case is, right? Because the time is now. And so it shows that this priest is essentially praying and they're meditating, right? This is the one who has the authority. So I feel like this is the person who probably knew something about you for a very long time, and they were so confident in the fact that as long as you were in certain connections, they essentially are using you as their side hustle. Now, here's the thing. Whoever they sent towards you, so listen, everybody that comes towards you has to know the game plan. Now, if there is something supernaturally attached to you, then I want you to imagine that the demon or the entity that they have sent towards you, sometimes it's just like a cloak, it's an energy, right? But whatever they have sent towards you only allows you to call in karmic connections, even though your heart is way bigger, right? You are not emotionally immature. Although you have a bigger heart space, it's like everybody that comes to you either has no heart or they have very little emotional maturity. The person that was sent to you this could be recently, but this is at some point. This is like one story, but I am seeing it from the perspective of the priest who has the knowledge about who you are. Then there's the family who kept you in a trap, almost like their puppet, so that they could get a reward off of you emotionally. Then there's the Queen of Swords who knows what's happening but is too immature to handle it, takes it too far and fucks everything up, right? And then there is the person that essentially is supposed to come in and be in a loving relationship with you. And so this is the energy of the love spell, right? And so the goal was for this person to cast a love spell on you in order to essentially turn the warmth that is your heart space into like an icebox, right? Icebox where your heart used to be, in order to get you to freeze, in order to get you to lock up, in order to bring you to a state of stillness. If you have warmth, you are growing, you are happy, you are vibrant, you're creating, you're laughing, you're in joy, you are tranquil, you're at peace, right? And so anybody that sends to you is supposed to mistreat you in order to emotionally stunt you. As long as you are emotionally stunted, somebody else is earning. The somebodies are a priest and a family member. Now, the priest can be responsible for doing whatever the supernatural work was that had to be done, but nonetheless, what I'm seeing here is that the person that was in the connection with you that possibly emotionally bullied you, listen, if you have the heart, if you were supposed to have a heart, this is like the person you're dating is only offering you a cup with a fish in it. but you yourself are carrying 10 cups inside of you. But every time somebody comes to date you or to offer, they literally have nothing. And so this is intentional. So not only do they show up with very little, but the very little they give you, they're bullying you, they're embarrassing you, they're gossiping you, they're doing everything they possibly can in order to make sure your heart doesn't grow. I kind of get the energy of the Grinch, right? It's like they send you a Grinch in order to make you a Grinch, but you were never supposed to be a Grinch. You're supposed to be like Cindy Lou Who, like divinely, that is who you're supposed to be. And so whoever did the love spell, and this is coming out as the Mordecai, this is the person that but this is the bad Mordecai. In the Bible, Mordecai was good, but this is like the person they hire. And maybe Queen Esther is not on the table, but maybe you have the Queen Esther anointing. So maybe that is significant. I also thought about the Esther fast. There's a 3-day fast, if anybody knows about it. I'm just telling you everything I know about Esther because it could be significant to what we're being called to do, okay? So this is essentially using someone close to you who you could have been in a relationship, just like Esther and Mordecai were close. If you're Queen Esther, they essentially use a Mordecai in order to lock your heart up and to bring it to a state of stillness. Now, the only reason they're doing that is because they have a goal. They're shooting for something. They have a purpose. The purpose is to make the love spell stick. And so as long as you are cloaked, or as long as the love spell, I do have a little bump. Yeah, I knew I felt something. As long as the love spell sticks, your heart doesn't grow. Right? You're sad, you're depressed, you're grieving. Okay? And remember, that is what gives them wealth, them being the family. Okay. Mordecai right now is in massive regret because he understands that he was a part of bullying you. So you know what I mean? Everybody that comes towards you, sometimes they are under a spell too. Sometimes they are lied to. Right? And I think if everybody understood the ramifications of this, I think a lot of people would think twice before they get involved with this. So the same person who bullied you, who offered you just that little pissy ass Dixie cup, thinking that that was enough for the relationship, maybe they themselves were under a love spell. Maybe that person couldn't see your value because they were cloaked under something that was kind of supernatural, right? But they were essentially using that person in order to make sure that you stayed dormant, you stayed stuck, you stayed frozen, you stay depressed. So here's the thing. The same Mordecai that does the love spell on you, that's been bullying you, sends you a love message. But when the message comes, you don't even check your phone. You're like, oh, okay, right? And so here's the thing. You are supposed to be grieving and longing for attention, longing for somebody to, and so this is like giving me the energy of like it went too far, but you filled your own 10 cups. And so when somebody shows up with like a shot glass worth of emotion, you're like, no, I'm good on that, right? But this was the plan. They're supposed to be on and off. They're supposed to be attached. They're just, they were supposed to ghost you. But guess what? I think at some point you recognized I have my own feelings, I have my own emotion, and if I'm not receiving it from anybody outside of me, I totally can fulfill my own needs. So in the process of everybody thinking that you are still the side hustle that they can earn money off of, you are somewhere at peace, not worried about being ghosted, not worried about these people just mirroring emotions to you. We also have the energy of travel and vacation. And so maybe when this person was in a connection with you, maybe they traveled, maybe they kind of went on a vacation, maybe they disappeared, or you kind of went on a vacation. Not that you physically had to go anywhere, but if this is a person who is causing you emotional pain, maybe you just provided yourself with the energy that you knew you wouldn't have got from them, right? And so you're like, fine, I'll take a break. Like, I know what to do to please me. I know what to do to satisfy me. I don't need anybody else outside of me to fulfill me. But I'm getting that these people didn't know that the Queen of Swords did death magic on you. And I feel like the death magic is what fucked up the karmic tie relationship. Because listen, you being trapped in karmic relationships is coming up as the Knight of Pentacles. That is that is the slowest night. This is somebody who is methodical. They plan. They're very meticulous before they take their steps. They calculate the seasons. They look at the skies, right? And so this is not somebody that rushes in. So this is like a long-term plan that probably had been working seamlessly, but justice is here now. And the justice is not going to be them having what they need financially for legal cases. The justice is that you have filled your own cups. You're in your feelings, but you're in your own feelings, not requiring anybody else to take part in them. So, y'all, how does this resonate? I know a lot of us can connect to the karmic relationships, but I never would have thought that it was something supernatural for me personally. I never would. I mean, honestly, I always internalized it as something was wrong with me, or why do I keep attracting these kind of people, right? And I'm definitely a loving person. I mean, 7 years ago, the same people that the same household, same experience that I just had last night. 7 years ago, I was grateful for this experience, and I still have that same sentiment towards everybody, even knowing the truth of who they are and what they've done. That is just my heart. I don't know how to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to carry grief or burdens. Like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. And so, if this is your story, if you were attached to somebody, if this is making sense, I feel like the secret about you is that you're emotional, your heart space, it is literal money. But when unworthy people know things about you, they are not going to reflect your worth. They're not going to tell you your value. They're going to do everything they can to extract it, to suck it out of you for their own gain. All right, y'all, I love you. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.